What's up, guys? Welcome back to this channel. With my wife and I speaking last night, and I realized that speaking to a lot of older people gives you a lot more perspective in life. Gives you perspective in what would your life going to be if, say, 20 years, 30 years down the track. Sometimes I realize is this: speaking to your parents is probably the message is not clear enough, and you probably want to hear it. What I meant by that would be when I speak to my dad with my mother, sometimes whatever they're saying, I don't take that into an account, because I guess it sort of like just goes in one ear and out the other ears. However, if you fast forward and looking at strangers or older people, or people that you know, that you're surrounding, let's say, beyond your parents, open up your eyes a bit more in terms of your life, let's say. I've spoken to a lot of people that is 20 plus years older than me, and they all have a similar story between one to the other. Now these are your average people that have children. The children's already I guess grown up, and they don't require them anymore, and they're nearly hitting the retirement age. What is the cycle for some of this? It's kind of fascinating for me, because I looked at these guys and I looked at myself. Here I am on my 30s, and if I were to fast forward, is this life? I'll give you an example, yeah. So there was this couple at, let's say, in 70s, 60s, somewhere around there, between 60s and 70s years age. And when I hear their life story, they were trying to do everything that is correctly, I guess, required for as a parent. When they were young, they went to work, they got a mortgage, pay off the house, provide enough service income, provide enough, I guess, food for the table, try to raise a good family or not. But that would mean at a cost. The cost of that was they both have to work really hard, they get really tired, and providing the best education for the children in order for them to live a better lifestyle, which is a better life compared to what they were. Now fast forward now, and that was on the early years. Now the kids is about my age. I'm on my mid-30s. I have my own children. Their children have their own, like they become a grandparents in a sense. But it's a whole different world. My lifestyle is all about providing quality time with my children, because I didn't have that when I was a kid. And their lifestyle, their children's lifestyle, is building, I guess their building nest egg is a bit different than us. Their lifestyle is both working full-time job, putting the kids 5 days per week in childcare, and they work really long hours, and maybe typical full-time gig. I don't know what that means, but I figured it would be a 4 weeks vacation a year, and weekend is your time off. Don't get me wrong, that's for some it's actually better off than others. I'm sure they're making a lot more money compared to me. I don't doubt that. However, at the same time, the same cycle repeat itself. The same cycle repeating, as in this couple probably trying to do their best to provide them for their children. In this instance, will be their the children will be going to school 5 days. They taking a full-time jobs, but they're never actually physically there to raise them, because they put the children on before and after school day childcare, like childminding or so. So even when you're in primary school, here in Sydney, Australia anyway, there is this before and after school child minding services. Mostly it's actually been catered in the school itself. The idea of it is, if you cannot pick up your kids, because school finishes at about 3-4 o'clock, somewhere around there. Now, a typical 9 to 5 job, you finish at 5 o'clock. So you probably won't get there to pick up the kids. So there's these child minding services that are provided sometimes near the school, where the children can actually stay there until you finish work. Me, on the other hand, I don't like the idea of my kids going to school for longer than what they have to. At the moment alone, my kids go to daycare and they go 10:30, 11, somewhere around there, until about 4-5 o'clock or so. But I pick them up at 5 o'clock on the dot. Oh, my wife does anyway. So what I'm trying to get back to this is the cycle of it, yeah? So the couple that I know, the 70-year-old, they were trying to do their best. They work full-time as well, back when they were young. And now this couple's children doing the same thing, the same cycle. Going to work really like longer hours, not spending a lot of times with their kids. So in my mind, it's like, at what point do you break that cycle? And I'm sure their children is probably going to be doing the same thing. They're going to grow up looking at their parents, and their parents were working so hard, they're never at home, so I have to do the same. So it's just a vicious cycle. At what point do you actually generation wise, at what point do they stop? I think that's why, I guess, there's a breakdown in the system, where we've been conditioned a certain way to work. We've been conditioned in a way because when we were a child, we look at our parents, okay, so you must work. When you work, this is what would happen. So when you work, you're going to do a full-time work. You never see your children, so they probably end up doing the same thing. So my wife and I take a step on that, thinking this is not right, and we making a step on, let's do something about it now. And one of the biggest thing that they said was, spend as much time as you can with your children, because you never know when they're gonna grow up and then they don't need you anymore. That was the advice that I got. And that opened up my eyes a lot. Like, I guess having a passive income provide that lifestyle, provide you that. Now, instead of I choose to go to work, start again. Instead of I have to go to work in order for me to survive. now I choose to go to work in order for me to. I don't need to go to work if I don't want to. That's a big change, and now for me it's like quality time with my kids is more important. And yeah, until such time as you're thinking of changing that mindset of, hey, this is not right, there's got to be a better way of raising a family instead of everything burning on rely on you as earning an income. Until such time as you have that thought process, you probably keep on doing what you're doing. It took us a while. I kind of wish I did this a lot earlier. So that's one aspect of it anyway. So the vicious cycle of people's working, I think it's been conditioned because we see our parents doing the same thing, and we see our other parents, like, I guess, generation to generation, they're doing the same thing. I migrated here. When I was a child, my lifestyle changed because I came from a small village to here. The whole environment alone has changed. There's a lot of, I guess, family orientated, the harmony of children was supposed to be playing, and when I'm in here, life's a lot different. Not a lot of people talk to each other. Not a lot of people, I guess, between your neighbors, everyone seems to be closed door. Where I came from was, we have like this open door at about 3 to about 6. All the kids in the neighborhood just play. We don't have that in here. Well, that's how I felt anyway when I was growing up. So because there was that little thought process that I'm going through, I found it sometimes a bit odd why we have to work full time. Why do we have to work really these long, ridiculous hours? Why do we have to stress out working? All comes down to, I guess, the way I look at it is our I guess, surrounding, our belief system, and what we have been conditioned. Until such time as you're, in a sense, wake up and thinking this is not right, and you've been accustomed to it. So hopefully this makes sense, what I'm trying to say to you guys. So pretty much the idea of this video is that it's like we've been conditioned a certain way because our parents been conditioned a certain way. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that at one stage you kind of have to wake up and make your own decision. You kind of have to wake up and start something fresh. You got to do something different in order for you to be, well, for me it's a lot more happier and not as stressful. Talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.